My name is Brandon Straka, and I was wrongfully charged and convicted by the United States DOJ and FBI. I pled guilty, but I was innocent. For 4 years, I've had my name, my reputation, and my life shattered by the lies told by my government. But I've never been free until now to tell the truth about what actually happened. This is my story. On the morning of January 25th, 2021, I woke up at dawn to a team of FBI agents in tactical gear raiding my apartment. Within 30 seconds, I had my hands cuffed behind my back as the lead agent told me that I was facing multiple felony charges for what I had done on January 6th. I reflexively replied, "Felonies? I didn't even commit any crimes." The agents began tearing my apartment apart, seizing my computers, phones, iPads, hard drives, thumb drives, cameras, clothing, and more. Then they took me to jail. I sat in jail for 2.5 days before I was released. I replayed my memories of January 6th in my head over and over again, trying to figure out what crimes I could possibly be charged with.
I never entered the Capitol on January 6th. I didn't engage in any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction, nor did I witness any. I was never present for the riot that had occurred on the west side of the building. So what have I done?
My attorney said, "You're being charged with 2 felonies and a misdemeanor, and the government's threatening to add a 3rd felony charge. Felony number 1, knowingly occupying restricted grounds. Felony number 2, impeding law enforcement. And a misdemeanor, disorderly conduct with an intent to disrupt a hearing before Congress." I was shocked, as none of these charges made any sense. The entire case against me was based on a video I shot myself and uploaded to Twitter on January 6th. To fully understand my confusion, let me explain the context of the situation. On January 6, 2021, I was a scheduled speaker for a permitted event to take place on Capitol grounds. As I was on my way to the Capitol to speak, I began getting text messages from people saying that they were hearing on the news that there was a disruption at the Capitol and that people were going inside the building. As somebody who has very little faith in the media, I wanted to see for myself if what the media was reporting was true. And I wanted to capture what was happening myself on video for the benefit of my over 1.5 million social media followers. I started shooting a video when I was at least a block away from the Capitol, walking toward the building and the crowd. The first thing that you'll notice in my video is that the people on the outer grounds are very calm and subdued. Nothing seems to indicate that there's any trouble ahead. The second thing you'll notice is that there's no closed barricades preventing people from walking up to the Capitol building. The barricades are fully open. There are no signs to indicate that it's not okay to advance forward. No police officers or security agents anywhere in sight. And there are at least hundreds of people standing on the other side of the open bike rack. Nobody could possibly know they'd be committing a crime by simply joining the large crowd ahead. Nonetheless, according to the government, this is the moment that I committed my first felony, knowingly occupying restricted grounds. To this day, nobody's ever explained to me how I knew that I was occupying restricted grounds, but that didn't stop the government from definitively saying that I did. I continued to walk forward calmly toward the crowd. I can even be heard saying, "Excuse me," to the people in front of me.
Excuse me, sir? Oh, yeah. Excuse me.
Not exactly the demeanor someone might expect from somebody who's moments away from trying to overthrow the United States government. As I walked up the steps, I passed a number of people. None of them were trying to storm the building or get inside. They were all facing away from the building. Most of them looked bored on their phones. And these men had a statue of Jesus and a sign that read, "Jesus saves." I continued to climb the steps, and then I heard a man say, "We're going in. They opened the doors. The doors are open." I repeated the words the man said verbatim, and then I added, "The people are going in. Look at this."
We're going in.
They opened the door!
We're going in. The people are going in. Look at this.
But in the government's account, they omitted that I was repeating the words of the man next to me and removed the context of my statement, instead making it seem like me saying "we're going in" was my idea.
And sure enough, when I got to the top of the stairs, the doors on the east side of the Capitol were wide open. Now listen carefully. I said east side. I was on the opposite side of the Capitol as the west side, where the riot had occurred.
None of that was happening where I was.
I never saw it. I never knew anything about it. I had absolutely no knowledge at this point that anybody had broken any windows or had any physical altercations with police officers on the other side. And speaking of police officers, where were they? So far, I'd walked peacefully onto Capitol grounds, and up to the top of the Capitol stairs were the two large Columbus doors, which can only be unlocked from the inside by deactivating the magnetic lock, were both wide open. No police officers anywhere in sight.
Which is very interesting, because in my statement of offense, the government blatantly lied, stating,
For somebody who is represented by the government and the media as an integral instigator in the insurrection, reality shows that I was actually rather confused. Are people going in? I asked the people around me.
Are people going in?
Minutes later, standing shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of people, two young women tried to push their way out of the crowd, causing the crowd to sway and people to begin losing their footing. I took a step back to create an opening for the girls, and I hollered, "Go, go."
Go, go!
And the young lady immediately responded to me, saying,
I'm going left, I'm going left, I'm going left, I'm going left. But the government lied once again, removing the context of my statement and saying that I shouted, "Go, go, go," to encourage the crowd to storm the building. They even added a third go that I never said to make it sound more emphatic.
Go, go!
But what happened next gave the government exactly the ammunition that they needed to destroy my reputation. Now, it's very important to know, I was holding my camera above my head and pointing it down toward the door, because the people in front of me were taller than me and holding flags on poles, and I could not see what was in front of me. So I zoomed in all the way, 100% on my camera, and held my camera up so that it could capture what my eyes could not see. One officer appears in the crowd carrying his plastic shield above his head. A few members of the crowd grab the shield, and while they do, a man from behind me can be heard shouting, "Take the shield, take the shield, take the shield away from him," while another man joins in with him shouting, "Take it, take it." I had zero awareness of what had happened. At no point at all was I aware of what was going on. I was just trying to keep my balance and keep my camera pointed at the door. However, a few seconds later, the crowd began chanting, "USA, USA." And as someone who never misses out on an opportunity to join in with the crowd chanting USA, I joined right in.
USA! 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 USA!
And according to the FBI and DOJ, this is when I committed my second felony, impeding law enforcement. Because you see, they blamed me for shouting about the shield. But it wasn't even that straightforward. When the FBI raided my house and took me to jail, they put out an 8-page charging document, a press release, stating that I was the voice shouting, "Take the shield, take the shield, take the shield away from him." I immediately told my attorney this wasn't true. In fact, I had never even watched my own video since I posted it on January 6th. I actually had to watch my own video for the first time after being arrested to even see the moment in question. But it's actually easy to hear for yourself. The voices shouting about the shield sound farther away from my voice and come predominantly out of the right speaker. My voice sounds closer and comes predominantly out of the left speaker.
USA! USA! USA!
My attorney was working on getting the government to drop the felony charges against me. And what happened next was stunning. He told the DOJ that I would not take ownership of shouting, "Take the shield, take the shield, take the shield away from him." The prosecutor responded, saying that she agreed that I might not be the voice shouting, "Take the shield," but that she thought that maybe I was the other voice, the voice shouting, "Take it, take it," We were told if I was going to be allowed to plead guilty to a misdemeanor, felonies dropped, I would have to take ownership of this act, which I unequivocally did not do. My attorney told me the FBI already put out a release saying that you did this. They're not going to say that they made a mistake. You're going to have to give them something. So I have to confess to something I didn't do because the FBI agent ruining my life with false accusations might be embarrassed? Are you f***ing kidding me? But in the interest of avoiding a bogus trial in Washington, D.C., where I was guaranteed to be found guilty on multiple felonies, that's exactly what I did.
Years after my arrest and conviction, this footage was sent to me. It's never been seen before. It was shot outside the building at the time of the Shield incident, and for several brief moments, you can see me in the crowd. It's me, struggling to keep my balance, and struggling to keep my camera up in the air and pointed at the doors which were 35 feet away. There was literally no way for me to know what was going on with the Shield, but the government and the media created a public spectacle, saying that I was the ringleader of this event. After 8 minutes, a man came out of the Capitol and said the building had been evacuated and everybody needed to move out.
Back out, guys. They've already evacuated the senators and House. They're all cowards. We've done our job. We've done our job. Let's move out. Let's move out. Let's move out.
I immediately turned around and told the people behind me to move out and to leave because the building had been evacuated. People were still entering the Capitol, but I left of my own volition and told others to as well.
Everyone needs to go this way. Everyone's evacuated.
And that's it. That is, in totality, everything that I did on January 6th, including every allegation of criminal activity against me by the FBI and DOJ. There's nothing I've left out. This was the entirety of my involvement in what would be called an attempt to overthrow the US government. This is what justified the most powerful agencies and institutions in the world to destroy almost every aspect of my life and make me the subject of multiple felony criminal charges, a civil lawsuit, years of federal investigations, mass banning and deplatforming, subpoenas and depositions by the January 6th committee, travel bans and restrictions, and placement on multiple government terrorism watch lists.
You see, there's no justice in January 6th cases. Even the ones with a basis of truth are lies. This was never a question of how do I win or how do I lose. It was always a question of how do I lose the least. The government's lies about January 6th and my participation in it have permanently damaged my name, my reputation, my career, my finances, my relationships with friends, family, and so much more. Their lies have given the media the fodder they needed to tell stories about me like this.
Straka was arrested on multiple charges, including impeding law enforcement during civil disorder, a felony which carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison.
Brandon Straka was also involved in the official planning and programming around the insurrection. Yeah, the take the shield, that's him yelling that, documenting it.
But I don't think he did even go into the Capitol.
His name is Brandon Straka. He confessed. He confessed to being guilty. He was found to helping attack police.
Their lies caused federal law enforcement to raid my home like they were looking for Osama bin Laden and put me in jail, and then on house arrest, and then on 4 years of federal supervision. I will never again be the person that I once was. I'll never have the career I might have once had. My organization, Walkaway, will never be what it would have been if none of this had ever happened. But as difficult as all of that is to live with, I don't know that anything has been as bad as having to spend the last 4 years unable to tell the truth about what actually happened on January 6th and clear my name. But now you do know the truth about my story and January 6th. Please share it with as many people as you possibly can and help me make sure that the United States government never again does something like this to one of its own citizens.